Oshomo to lead us in the word of prayer.
Thank you. Let us pray. Almighty Father, the most gracious, the most supreme, we thank you for the gift of this new day and for the opportunity to gather together for the launch of these important documents of the Republic of Kenya. We are grateful for your continued guidance, protection, and blessings upon our nation and upon the Commission. We thank you for the leadership you have entrusted to us and for the privilege of serving the people of the great Republic of Kenya. As we begin this ceremony, we humbly ask for your presence among us. Grant us wisdom, understanding, and integrity as we discharge our respective responsibilities. May the documents being launched today contribute to good governance, accountability, fairness, and improved service delivery to all Kenyans. We pray for our chief guest, the Principal Secretary, the Commission leadership, all the invited guests, and everyone present. Bless them with good health, wisdom, and success in the service to our country. May this event proceed peacefully, fruitfully, and according to your will. Guide our discussions, our decisions, and our action so that they may bring honor to you and benefit to our nation. We ask all these things in your holy name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the word of prayer. Ms. Amanda will lead us in your national anthem as well as the East African anthem.
Our chief guest, other guests, colleagues, partners, good morning. Allow me to lead with our vocals of our national anthem. Nguvu yetu ilete baraka kwetu, akiwe ngao na mlinzi, na tukae na undugu, amani na uhuru, raha tupate na ustawi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Amanda. We may kindly take our seats. Thank you so much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, once again, good morning and welcome to Nairobi's General Consent. From the official launch of national assets, inventory, and market reforms for Samburu, Isiolo, and Laikipia counties, and the guidelines for drylands national assets, mapping. My name is University Chitari from the Kenya Defense Forces, and I'll be serving as your master of ceremony for this event, alongside Ms. Esther Njeri, who will be our sign language interpreter. Your presence today demonstrates our collective commitment towards sustainable management of Kenya's natural assets. We are truly honored to have you with us. As we begin our official program, it is my pleasure to invite the Chief Executive Officer of the National Land Commission, Ms. Kabale
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Apologies from our chief guest. I know the Secretary Environment is standing in for him. He got an emergency this morning, still attending to that. But we want to appreciate the presence of the Secretary Environment, Dr. Jemoso. Allow me from the onset to recognize partners in the room before I give my formal welcoming remarks. We have the Kenya Forest Service represented here, Northern Rangelands, Kenya Wildlife Service, Nairobi Rivers Commission, represented by 2 commissioners. We are honored to have you, commissioners. Center for Training and Rangeland Integrated Research in ASAL Developments, that's CETRAD. The Executive Director is here with us. Minister of Land and Physical Planning, Minister of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, Laikipia Wildlife Conservancy, NEMA, the CBOs, Water Resource Management Authority, State Department of Wildlife, County Government of Laikipia, where we did one of the pilot project on this, Kisiria Community Forest Association, we have County Commissioner of Isiolo here. Members of the County Assembly of Isiolo, I've seen several here. Honorable Major Abdinur Jilo, you know, he's around. Members of the County Assembly of Samburu, Institute of Surveyors of Kenya, represented by our own Vice President, Lucy Mbugua, State Department of Forestry, Itugai community from Samburu, Wildlife Research and Training Institute, County Government of Isiolo, County Government of Samburu, and others who are still coming. Of course, members of Secretariat from National Land Commission. I would like to recognize the members of Secretariat who are here, directors, HODs, representative from the 3 counties. Please stand up. Yeah, those are our directors, HODs, deputy directors, and representative from the 3 counties. You may have your seat. I know commissioners will be introduced and recognized by the chairman. So this morning, it's my greatest honor to address all of you, to welcome you, of course, to the launch of the Dryland Natural Resource Inventory and Participatory Mapping Reports for Isiolo, Samburu, and Laikipia counties. I'm sure you were asking yourself, why only 3 counties? This is just a pilot project. We'll be able to roll out after this to the 26 other remaining counties once we get the resources. And I'm happy that the development partners are already here with us, and I know they will support us. And we are also launching the guidelines for mapping of natural resource assets. So we'll have about 4 items to be launched this morning. So today's launch is actually a culmination of the ambitious journey that began with the simple but fundamental questions that how do we secure and sustainably manage natural resources that have never been documented. Remember, the National Land Commission came up with the first natural resource atlas for the country. And for the National Land Commission, the answer lays in bringing together science, technology, public institutions, state and non-state actors, and most importantly, the communities. That's why we have representation of the communities today with us in this room. These reports are therefore not simply just publications. They are the products of an extensive, inclusive, and evidence-driven process that brought together local communities, county governments, national government, agencies, researchers, conservation organizations, and development partners to identify, verify, and map some of the Kenya's most critical dryland natural resources. The Commission firmly believes that effective land governance must be informed by reliable data. We actually believe in research. Thus, we have our able head of research, Dr. Mary Macharia, in the room. The Commission firmly believes that effective land governance must be informed by this reliable data. So decision on land administrations, community land registrations, physical planning, development control should never be made in the absence of accurate information about the natural resource that sustains people, biodiversity, and local economies. At the Commission, we believe in research. That conviction has guided this entire exercise this morning. So this work, as I've said earlier, did not begin today. Several years, the Commission embarked on developing the Kenya Natural Resource Atlas. I've just mentioned one of its kind, which established the first comprehensive national baselines of strategic natural resources across the country. The Atlas demonstrated the immense value of integrated spatial data into land governance and policy formulations. Madam Chief Guest, one of the reasons why we picked Engineer Ngeno, I know he's a geospatial specialist also, beside being the Principal Secretary of Environment. However, we recognize that the national data sets alone could not sufficiently capture the complexity, diversity, and local realities of individual landscapes. However, the country reports, these county reports represent the natural progressions of that journey. They move beyond national mapping to detail ground truth inventories, developed with the active participations of the people who know these landscapes best and the communities. These are the communities who knows their own landscape, especially coming from the pastoral areas. These county reports represents the natural progressions of that journey. They move beyond national mapping to details ground truth inventories developed with the active participations of the people who know these landscapes. I've just said they are communities. By combining geographic information system, GIS, we have many experts here. Dr. Samuel Induni is one of the GIS experts we have. Dr. Mary Macharia, we have several who are also heading the departments. Field verifications, participatory mapping, and indigenous knowledge. We have produced reports that are scientifically robust while remaining deeply rooted in community experience. This is exactly the kind of evidence that strengthens planning, supports sustainable investment, policy, and safeguards public interest. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning, allow me to express my deepest appreciation to all those whose commitment made the initiatives possible. Special appreciation goes to the WIS Academy for nature, for your financial support, technical expertise, and shared vision transformed an idea into reality. Our partnership has demonstrated how international collaboration can strengthen national institutions while delivering tangible benefits to all the communities. I equally acknowledge the invaluable support, technical support provided by the CETRAD. CETRAD is Center for Training and Integrated Research for ASAL Developments. The expertise in dryland, Dr. Kitemi, I say thank you. Ecosystem participatory methodologies and research greatly enrich the qualities of this work. May I also extend my appreciation to the County Government of Isiolo, Samburu, and Laikipia for their unwavering cooperation throughout the projects. Today we have the County Assembly's Chair of the Environment County Assembly. We have the CEC for Environment, and all the respective technical staff from those three counties. We want to appreciate your counties for the support. You've mobilized communities, providing technical guidance, and participating in validation exercises. Without you, we cannot be launching this project, the research findings today. Thank you very much. So your partnership ensured that these reports responded to local priorities and realities. We say thank you to the three counties. Please extend our appreciation also to the governors, because we did not invite them, we invited you to represent them. To the national government, ministries, departments, and agencies, community conservancies, research institutions, development organizations, community elders, women, youths, and local leaders who generously shared their knowledge and time. And we thank you. Your contributions, of course, ensure that the reports reflects both scientific evidence and lived experience of the communities that depend on the landscapes every day. Further, allow me to special thanks to the chairman, commissioners, and secretariats of the National Land Commission, whose dedication has been instrumental in delivering the milestones. These are policy papers we can't do without the commissioners. Unless the commissioners approves, we cannot launch today. So chairman and commissioners, in a special way, I say thank you. Today we celebrate the successful completion of natural resource assets inventories for Isiolo, Samburu, and Laikipia counties. Our vision is to replicate this model across all LaSalle counties and ultimately develop a comprehensive natural inventory of Kenya's natural assets. Achieving this ambition will require strong partnership with county governments, development partners, research institutions, conservation organizations, universities, and private sector to mobilize the knowledge, technology, and resource needed. Therefore, the true success of these initiatives will be measured by how effectively these reports informed policy, strengthen land administration and spatial planning, support conservations, reduce land and resource conflicts, and promote sustainable management of Kenya's natural resource heritage. The National Land Commission remains committed to working with all stakeholders to ensure these reports becomes practical tools that drive sustainable land governance and development. And together, we have documented nature. Now together, let us protect it. I want to say thank you to all the participants this morning. I cannot forget the members of Fourth State who are with us also. We say thank you because without your publications and informing the citizen, we will not be documenting our papers properly today. We say thank you. We have partners in this room we have partnered together in this journey. We have the WIS Academy, we have the CETRAD. So allow me, as co-partners and co-host of this breakfast meeting this morning, to invite Dr. Okinda. I think I need to pronounce your name. Allow me, I'm a pastoralist, so to come and give his remarks. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished guest, the Secretary Environment, who is representing our chief guest, who have been told that was not able to come. Distinguished commissioners, all the executive directors who are in this room, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it's a great honor and pleasure to be here. And it's been a long journey, which started way back in 2020, I think. And just to give a little story, how it started, we had Ben Opa, who will be representing us, presenting the results here. But he came to one of the meetings of conservationists in Nanyuki. And he popped in there. We were a group of many conservation organizations working up in the north. And he joined this meeting, and we were like, who is this? And he introduced himself, that he's from the National Lands Commission, and his agenda was to see how best he can be able to map the natural assets in the drylands and also get to know what their status is. So he was very passionate in the way he presented this to us. Yeah, and that time I was working with Save the Elephants, yeah, as the director in charge of policy and we were talking about corridors, connectivity between different landscapes. So Ben presented his proposal, and by the tents, this normally we say, tukutane hapo nyuma ya tents. So we met behind the tents, and he had this proposal. He was looking for 50 million shillings to be able to do this work. So we took this to save the elephants that time, and it was so huge money, we could not be able to do it. Yeah, but then time rolled, and the passion was still there. We were committed, and in 2022, when I joined WIS Academy as the director of the regional hub, Ben still came, that you know what, we still need this thing done. And thank goodness and thank God that at that time now we were in a position to be able to mobilize resources for this thing to happen. And it is so important, as the CEO of National Lands Commission has said, that these natural assets, they are what actually underpins our development as a country. Without them, we are finished. And without conserving them, we are finished. And I will talk about natural resources. Most of the time, people think about minerals, which is great. Those are natural resources. But for some of us, from where we come from, also natural resources go beyond minerals. They go to living things. Living things here include biodiversity. They include forests, they include rivers, they include swamps, they include lagers, yeah, they include grazing areas during dry season, they include corridors. So these are very important, and as Wangari Maathai once said, if you destroy nature, nature will destroy you. We want to preserve it so that we as humans can be able to survive. So that is just a story of how it all started, and now we are at a process, at a stage where we are saying it is time now to move to the next level. We've piloted, the National Lands Commission wanted this done in all the dryland counties. And we are talking about 27 counties that are in that dryland category. So, but then we piloted in the 3, which Ben will talk about in more detail. And then the next step was now to say, okay, we've piloted, it's working, what do we do next? So very quickly, again, Ben Okita is my name. I'm the director of WIS Academy for Nature. I've been there now for the last 4 years. And before that, I worked with Save the Elephants. And before that, I worked with the government. I was in charge of rhinos for about 17 years at Kenya Wildlife Service, and also in charge of policy and planning at Save the Elephants for 8 years. Now, I was doing elephant work, I was doing rhino work, but then WIS Academy brings all this together. It brings it in a way that it is holistic. As much as we were so much about species, rhinos, elephants, WIS Academy says, fine, but where are the people? Because all this live on land that also people exist, and are people benefiting. So WIS Academy's approach is where people and nature coexist in a way that none suffers, and in a way that we are promoting each other. So we approach this through what we call a solutionscape approach, and we take an area that then we designate as a living laboratory, where we try these different solutions that then can bring people and nature to coexist. Now, living laboratory at the moment is in Isiolo, intersection between Isiolo and Laikipia, a place called Oldonyiro. I'm seeing Oldonyiro colleagues here, and also a place called Naibunga, and I'm seeing Naibunga colleagues here. Yeah, so that is our living laboratory where we test all these solutions to see, can we actually turn around conflict into coexistence and harmony? So we've done that for a number of things, and for today, this is just one of them. We want to appreciate the collaboration that we've had with the National Lands Commission, and we also want to appreciate the collaboration we've had with so many other partners that have made sure that all this that we are trying to do actually becomes a success. Now, one thing that I want to emphasize on here, now that I have the opportunity, is one of those assets which Ben Opa will be talking about. And this is to do with the corridors, wildlife corridors and connectivity. Is one of those assets that we'll be talking about. And to me, this is very important. Our Constitution 2010 talks about connectivity. Our Kenya Vision 2030 talks of, unless we are able to conserve and protect and be able to secure these connectivity areas, we will not be able to attain our middle income economy by 2030. That is very clearly stated in our Vision 2030. So this is where we are anchoring, that we are saying, can we be able to connect this landscape? Because you connect the landscapes, it means you're connecting movement for wildlife, for livestock, which is part of our culture. So many pastoralists need to move with their livestock. And for wildlife, which also anchors our economy in terms of tourism. And at the same time, we are able to preserve our biodiversity. So this is important. We have been working on this for many years. And I'm very, very happy to announce here today that the county government of Isiolo, with the partnership that we had with them, have been able to secure the corridors in Oldonyiro, which is a great thing. They gazetted it within a year. Yeah, and now what you're saying, in terms of this asset mapping, when it comes to the next stage of the asset mapping, can we have now like Kipia connect with Isiolo, Samburu connect with Isiolo, Marsabit connect with Isiolo. We go all the way down to Mount Kenya. So our elephants, our livestock, our people can move all the way from Marsabit into Samburu, into Isiolo, into Laikipia, into Mount Kenya. And then we'll be saying, yes, indeed, as a country, we are moving towards that direction of attaining our Vision 2030 in as far as wildlife conservation is concerned. So congratulations to the county of Isiolo. Now, I think that mentioned, the last thing that I want to talk about is that all this that we are doing, they're anchored in law. I've talked about the Constitution of Kenya. I've talked about some of the policies like the Vision 2030. They're all anchored there. But then the challenge you're saying is, in as much as we have them there, are we turning that knowledge into action? You have it here. Are we turning it into action? We have it. But you're saying, we will do this, but are we doing it? So this is a demonstration that it actually can be done. And we want to move to that next stage that we have demonstrated in 3 counties. Can we now move to the next stage of other counties? And can we test these laws that anchor these things that we are doing, yeah, in the different legislations? Can we test them? So that, to us as WIS Academy, is where we want to move, work with you, Madam CEO, to see that we have tested those laws, they are working, and to get other partners that we can say, we tested in 3 counties, can these other partners, like other development partners, come on board and scale this up beyond these 3 counties? For us, that is like the main next step. And I want to propose that, after this meeting, today it's more in-house, we are talking to ourselves. Yeah, we want to get to the next level where we say, now here are the reports, here's the knowledge, we want to move to the next scale where we are growing them, we are replicating, and at the same time we are also scaling and leveraging on the existing laws and regulations and policies. I think with that, Madam CEO, I want to say thank you. Thank you all very much, and we look forward to seeing this a great success and making Kenya a great country and highly developed country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ben, for that commitment. It's a kind of actually a circuit. Now you've gone to Laikipia, Isiolo, go to Marsabit, come through Mandera, Wajir, Garissa. You will have actually covered most of the counties. And thank you for the commitment that you will give us support to find. I know Dr. Ben Opa is very passionate on the matters natural resource. I'll speak about him when he's coming to present an overview. Allow me to invite Dr. Kiteme, one of our co-hosts again.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Our chief guest and all protocols observed. I am happy to share this great moment with all of us. Ben, I don't know how many minutes I have. I'm excited, and in the moment of excitement, one can overstretch. Some years ago, I sat in a class of urban and regional planning. And it was one of those moments where you experience the essence of inter-university exchange programs. Because we had a visiting professor from one of the leading global planning institutes. And he told us that he's pitying us because you're training to be planners. But there's no planning in Kenya. What Kenyans do is to meddle through. That was a striking statement. And when we finished that session, I followed him and asked him to explain why he thinks that there's no plan in Kenya, what is there is meddling through. And he told me, young man, there is no planning without data and information. I went out and started to practice within the ministry. After 3 years, I was still getting nagged by that statement, and I said I will move out of the mainstream planning practice and find a place where I can contribute to resolving that, I will call it mentality from out there that Kenyans don't plan or Africans don't plan, they meddle through. I'm delighted that I found that place in Setrad, because I've been there for the last 38 years, and I've done what I think one could do to contribute to creating knowledge through data and information. If you think education is expensive, you try what? Ignorance. If you think data collection and creation of decision support tools, like what we're going to be presented here, is expensive, try what that Mzungu told us, the meddling through. Maybe God forgave us those days, but not today. We must take deliberate intention to invest in data and information creation. That said, data alone and the decision support tools like what we're going to be presented with does not resolve the issues. We need to make efforts to make the data and information that we have collected and analyzed available and support the application of the same. We normally say data and information is the only thing that earns value upon multiplication of use. Data is not data and is not information if in whatever
Thank you very much, Madam CEO, and allow me, our chief guest, other guests to ride on the protocol that is already established here. My name is Ben Opa. I work for the people of Kenya, and I'm stationed at the National Land Commission, and I head the Natural Resource Management Department at the Commission. I will provide you with an overview of this work and the products that we are about to launch, so that you get a gist of what exactly transpired, and of course, how that is going to impact us together with our generations to come. This is a partnership project, and of course, the partners are all here. And I can see from the logo, you are able to see that this was a joint initiative. The National Land Commission is a constitutional commission, and of course, it's the brain trust on matters land. We were able to provide the much needed leadership for this particular project. Yeah, the team was quite broad spectrum. As you can see, we had members from the National Land Commission, myself, my colleague Estelina Doke, who is also here. Our colleagues from the counties, Grace Wairegi, John Lelukitekui from Samburu, and also we had Abdullahi Jilo from Isiolo County, WIS Academy team, Dr. Kita, who has spoken, Anthony Wandera, Dr. Dickens, Dr. Kiaka, other members from CETRA, Dr. Boniface Kitemi, who has spoken, Grace Wambugu, and even Lee Mudhuri is a GIS expert. Save the Elephants, we had one of our colleagues who is almost graduating with his PhD, Benjamin Loloju. The NRT team, we had Kasaine Letiktik. State Department for Lands, we had Peter Naibei, who's also almost graduating with his PhD at Kenyatta University. On my right, two interesting photos. One is on the work session, and that is Dr. Dickens Odain, working currently with WIS Academy of Nature, of course, undertaking research. The photos below can actually show you the amount of work and the security issues around that, and why we had to really engage another gear of security to produce these products for and on behalf of the people of Kenya. Additional photos just to entice you to see more of the work and the method and the process. It was a people-centered process, and you can see people kneeling down, helping us to identify and list those particular assets. And of course, now the walking also began on the middle photo, but the lower photo, as Ben Okita had mentioned, we had just started this work post-corona. So it is work that was still coronanized at that time. And so you can see us wearing the barakoas. This is a very important person, Dr. John Bastid, a member and a colleague of Ben Okita, who also helped us to midwife this particular project. Allow me then, ladies and gentlemen, to put some context to what we have done and why it is important. When we talk about the arid and semi-arid lands in the Republic of Kenya, and even globally, they are very, very important, because 41% of the Earth's surface is basically arid in nature. A bigger chunk of the global surface is arid in nature. And so that makes us to be interested in looking at what is really happening in these landscapes and why they support livelihoods. We are also saying that 2 billion people, roughly 38% of the global population, reside in these particular areas. And 45% of the global land is actually on pastoral and livestock systems, which is important in terms of meat production. 10% of the total meat that is produced comes from these particular arid landscapes. 16% of our food production, of course, comes from there, and we have also noticed that 12% of our rangelands, where we also exhibit a lot of tourism development, are situated in these landscapes. At the regional level, Africa is a continent. We are saying that drylands make up 43%, and of course, this is the data from FAO, and of course, then it supports almost 82% of the pastoralists. These particular landscapes in Africa supports 82% of our pastoralists. 69% of the rangelands are found in these particular areas in developing countries, but of course in Africans, rangelands are actually currently the new frontiers in terms of infrastructural development, urban expansion, and even new emerging issues. Within Kenya as a country, the map shows you clearly the 26 plus areas that are designated as arid and semi-arid lands, our focus areas. We've only worked on 3, but we expect to expand that. So Kenya as a country is having around 80 to 90% of our country being regarded as arid and semi-arid land. But that data would shockingly be increasing. I'll be showing you If the next slide, there you'll be seeing that the country is actually undergoing variation in terms of temperature, and we are now realizing more aridity or desertification as a country. So 38% of our population reside in these particular areas earmarked or designated as ASALs. And that is not a simple statistic, that's a big population. And so these ASAL areas are so critical because they are strategic in terms of positioning. If you look at where my CEO comes from in Isiolo, Isiolo ought to be the headquarters of the Republic of Kenya. So that is quite strategic. It is so central in terms of trade and even in terms of doing business and other investments. Of course, these are the tourism hotspot areas because of the wide berth of natural resources, particularly wildlife. And Okita talked about the rhinos, the elephants, among others that also spur socioeconomic development through tourism ventures. These areas constitute a lot of mineral wealth, and we know that currently a rush to these particular areas because of what they have. How Kenya is changing in terms of aridity. 6% of the Kenya's land has experienced some shifting, increase in temperature, or even variation in humidity. And we have noticed that much of the area in Kenya has shifted towards semi-arid. About 72 to 80% or 82% of the country is now shifting towards arid and semi-arid lands. What about the legal and constitutional underpinning? I've said that I work for the National Land Commission, and as a commission, we believe in the constitutionalism and the rule of law. We protect the Constitution and Article 249. That is the authority that we submit to and the rule of law. So we have to establish whether we have the constitutional underpinnings and grounding for the work that we are doing. And we said, yes, there is provisions, or there are provisions in the Constitution that back up this particular work. One of them being Article 67, which has established the National Land Commission and provided with a myriad of functions. And part of that function is the management of public land, and Article 67, sub-Article 2, and of course when you go to Article 62, then you find the meaning of what public land is, which basically is what we are talking about this morning in terms of the resources, the forests, the water catchment areas, the biodiversity and genetic areas. But of course, equally important, we are National Land Commission. And so as a National Land Commission, what is land? Land is defined under Article 260 to mean or to include natural resources. And so we've found that constitutionally we had the jurisdiction. In law, if you don't have jurisdiction, you don't make any further step. You down your tools. Section 15, subsection 3 of the Land Act equally empowers the National Land Commission to undertake an inventory of all land-based resources. But again, Section 8 of our very own Land Act again also empowers us and tells us the National Land Commission shall, not may, undertake identification of public land, prepare and keep databases, and evaluate even land parcels. So then we established that we have jurisdiction both in the Constitution and the statutes, and we proceeded to work. What was the problem that informed us? What was the key problem here? One of the things that we noticed is that most people tend to think that these dry lands are wastelands, and so their true worth has not been enumerated or established or even explored. Researchers have shied away from documenting the potential worth or the true worth of our vital landscapes in the dryland parts of the Republic of Kenya. And so we have skewed interpretation of data that may not be factual. Sometimes everybody interprets what they have. And so for us as a country and as a commission, we wanted to get the actual true worth so that we have facts and not stories, Zajaba. Drylands are very much highly threatened, of course we know that, and in our country as a country, much of our systems in terms of infrastructural development are moving towards the north. What does that mean? There's already pressure on the land and land-based resources. There's ongoing community land registration, which is likely to privatize some of these vital public assets. And so we are saying we must move with speed to secure them so that they remain public and accessible by the members of the public, and of course in line with Article 60 of the Constitution of Kenya, as we read it together with Article 61, which says that all land in Kenya belongs to the people. And so all natural resources equally belong to the people. We have also seen the new emerging issues around climate change, making these particular landscapes even more vulnerable. But again, also this particular initiative was properly aligned, not only to the county policies, but also even the national priorities and policies. In a nutshell, just to wrap it up in terms of contextualization, we established that the Constitution and legal provisions are on our side, and that we are not moving or doing things out of the Constitution or away from the Constitution and the statutes. We have also established that there are resource losses or potential resource losses and the accruing benefits because of those changes and the land rush in those particular areas. But equally important is Article 2, Subarticle 5 and Article 2, Subarticle 6, what we call the multilateral environmental agreements, or the international treaties being part and parcel of the Kenyan legal systems. There are so many on matters of natural resources, and we have said that we are aligned to those particular resources, and Chief Guest, you are aware, because our mayors are domiciled in your ministry. What we have also established is that there are competing rights and claims about these natural resources, and it is important, as Dr. Kita mentioned earlier, that we strike this important delicate balance between people and nature. And so this particular process establishes and reinforces that balance. Our objective was simple and straightforward. We wanted to establish or take a stock of what is there in those particular counties in terms of the inventory, but we were also keen on the participation and involvement of our local communities and stakeholders, which is demonstrated clearly this morning by the huge attendance and the mobilization from the counties and the national levels. Our target users are also straightforward. These particular reports are meant to help the general public. The National Land Commission is a major user because of our lead role in land governance. The government ministries, departments and agencies present, county governments who are present here, researchers and academic institutions, the non-governmental organizations, CBOs, civil societies, and even media to help us educate the Kenyan masses in regards to sustainable land management and, of course, resilience building. Yeah, what was our scope? We were people-driven, or we were people-centered in our approach. And this was this from Samburu, was seated to tell us the story, what we call storytelling approach, which we adopted to gather views and data around these vital natural resources which are part of the heritage of the people of Kenya in these particular counties. Spatial scope, we worked in 3 counties, Laikipia, and we visited all the 52 locations in Laikipia, which also has 15 wards. We engaged the 71 conservancies and even private ranches. We were also able to visit even some of these protected areas or restricted areas, such as forests. We also visited Isiolo County, the 46 locations in 10 wards. Of course, some of them in Isiolo, like Scott, Boji, Atan, and Garemara, we were able to visit them, but we did not ground truth them because of insecurity at the time. It was a bit tricky at that time in Isiolo County. So a few of these particular locations, 4 of them were not ground truthed, but we were able to still continue to list the vital assets in those particular locations. So out of the 46, I would say 42 of those locations in Isiolo were visited and ground truth and mapped, except the 4 that we did not ground truth, but we listed those particular assets in Isiolo. We also visited Samburu County, the 39 administrative locations in 15 wards. Ndoto, Matthews, and Kirisia, and even New Republic Forests were also visited, and of course additional resources in those particular protected areas were inventoried. I've said this is a collaborative approach. We engage national, county, even local communities. Of course, that is at the heart of this process. We were deliberate in our community approach, and you can see the communities that we engaged and how we engaged them using those talking photos. But we also established that we don't have to be strict. We were adaptive in nature. We were flexible. Where something does not work, we are able to incorporate additional views and tactics to navigate the challenges. We used storytelling approach, where the Wazis told us stories and even took us to those particular areas. Of course, this approach was techno-driven. We used tablets to map and identify these particular resources, and of course, GIS. Gender was particularly important for me. We talk about gender and gender equality in land governance, and so we ensure that there's deliberate inclusion of women and our youth, particularly the Gen Zs. And we created jobs for them, what Chief Guest we call the green jobs. We had people helping us with the Nduthi. It was a Nduthi exercise where the terrain was huge and not navigable, we were able to engage the Nduthi approach to get the data for the people of Kenya. Yeah, so then the two photos just depict our engagement with the landowners in Laikipia, the conservancy owners, where we were doing the validation of the report. So we engaged the landowners and we have built consensus around these particular assets. Of course, the down photo is basically a ground truthing exercise in one of the areas, again in Laikipia, called Luonyek, which is, chairman, is one of the properties that is public land, and we have to secure that. It was already set aside during the adjudication, but is vulnerable and ripe for grabbing. And we are here to secure that. It's a water catchment area. What did we map in terms of scope? We mapped water resources, we mapped wildlife, we mapped forestry and dense vegetation, we mapped livestock routes, we mapped a bit of minerals, but particularly minerals that contribute to living organisms, the salt lick, which is a unique thing in drylands that really help and make the meat in these particular areas much more nutritious and tastier than the meat that comes from where I come from. Data-driven GIS, we did that. In a nutshell, the methodology was quite iterative. We had consultations, we prepared fields, survey tools, we marked and listed these resources and picked these assets with the coordinates and mined and analyzed data and interpreted them. So what did we find out? A lot of resources. For Laikipia, the photo alone tells you that there's a unique resource not found in so many parts of the Republic of Kenya called a rock catchment. And as a Kenyan who is almost getting to being a senior citizen, I'd never seen this unless allocations at the ward level to spur socioeconomic development by the members of the county assembly representing our constituents at the ward level. And so we provide this data for them to know and understand where should the priorities for water development focus in Laikipia County, for example. These are the distribution maps and on the kind of water resources that we established. We have geospatial coordinates to show and to take you to some of these water resources in terms of the points. We further did analysis for some of this dense vegetation for Laikipia, which are also important, grazing areas, but also dispersal areas for wildlife, and of course they're also utilized for medicinal purposes. And we mapped them, and the maps show that clearly. Corridors, very close to the heart of Dr. Kita, we mapped this for Laikipia, and the data is presented in kilometers, and of course we talked about the connectivity between Laikipia, Samburu, and even Isiolo, all the way to Marsabit. And of course, what is also important are the connectivity corridors, and we have mapped that, and we have provided a number of them that are so important when the National Land Commission will be working closely with KWS to secure and protect them through some initiatives, including gazetting them. Wildlife concentration areas were also mapped, and we have the sizes and the maps. The key issues around this are there's a lot of pressure in terms of encroachment and establishing structures within those corridors, inhibiting free passage of our wildlife. Livestock grazing zones, we also mapped that, and we have the maps, and there are quite many in Laikipia. Livestock routes, we also mapped them in Laikipia, and we got the numbers and the facts as well as their spatial locations. The salt lake, which is so close to my heart because I'm a meat person, we also established them in Laikipia. For Isiolo, part of the communities of Isiolo are here taking water. This is in Nachola location in Isiolo County. And it is beautiful to see our Kenyan people, wanang'ang'ania maji. Water is a major issue. You can see that. Yeah, the people themselves did the mapping, as you can see, a lot of engagements and consultations, and a lot of walking. Outlook data is here for us, for Isiolo people. We had the wards Kina, Sericho, Garbatula, Burat, Ngaremara, Oldonyiro, Burapesa, Cherab, Chari, Wabera. We had all that mapped, and we have the data and the facts. Here are the spatial locations in Isiolo. We established around 6 perennial rivers: Ewasongiro North, Isiolo, Bisangura, Bisanadi, Likiundu, and Lilibia rivers. We were able to get around 138 ponds, 40 rock catchments, 79 sand dams, 34 swamps, 83 springs. And the dense vegetation, we also established them, and their importance and even cultural significance. For wildlife resources, quite a lot in Isiolo also, and including areas around Kina and even Garbatula area. We established around a total of 33 wildlife resources in that regard. Again, also we have a lot of corridors, around 6 of them that are priority for us as National Land Commission, working with the partners: Oldonyiro Mokori Corridor, Oldonyiro Kipsing Corridor, Buffalo Springs Shaba Corridor, Nasulu Burat Corridor, Kulamawe Kina Corridor, so critical, as well as Madogashi Merti Corridor. For the livestock routes or resources, we also established the facts and we mapped all this, including the dry season grazing areas. Salt Lake, also in Isiolo, they are there around Oldonyiro area. We established that, and they are very important, not just for livestock, but also for people. When people want to undertake some cleansing of their body, to detoxify, then they go and leak a bit of this salt lake, they're able to get back their system right. So it is important as a socioeconomic resource, not just for people, but also for wildlife and livestock. We mapped that. For Samburu, yes, this is natural location still, sand dam or a hand dug well for our camels, and we mapped it. And of course, what is also close to my heart from the people of Samburu is Lenasakalai. Lenasakalai is a pond that was established as a result of the Samburu warrior, the great Samburu warrior, who while dying vibrated and quaked. And out of that quaking, a pond was established. So culturally, this is so important for the National Museums of Kenya to protect, for the people of Samburu, and more importantly, even for tourism. It is so important and so close to my heart for and on behalf of the people of Samburu. The water resource summary for Samburu, we have established that in Wamba East, in Wamba North, in Wamba West, in Waso, in Angata Nanyokie, in Bawa, in Elbara, in Nachola, Ndoto, Suguta Marmar, Lodojegek, Losuk, Maralal, Poro. We have mapped all that and established the facts around water resources in Samburu County. And to paint for you the picture better spatially, here is the map. There's one main river, Wasonyiro, but we established around 221 ponds. Rock catchments are also still there in Samburu County, and there are quite a number, and they are very, very important, including areas of dense vegetation around Nontoto Island area. We found that in Sirata, Oirobi location, and even in Arsim area, we also established some vegetation of dense characteristic. And so spatially, we have also mapped this, some of these important forests. We have them there, and I know we have the representative of CCF, the chief conservator of our forest. This is so important for you and me. For wildlife resources, we established around 65 of them, and of course, Lesarara to Likoririt wildlife corridor along Bawa area, we also established that. So the photo basically shows the actual wildlife corridor, where wildlife move, and you can actually see their action on the ground. Wildlife concentration areas, we had quite a number. Of course, Samburu North had high with 39, followed by Samburu East at 15, and Samburu West at 11. More resources corridors, they are still there, and we have mapped them, and now we are instituting measures to conserve them. Livestock routes, we have established all of them, around 169 grazing routes, 71 dry season grazing areas, and the photos are already there. The Kibashata to Lomer livestock route in Lodungokwei location, we have also established that and mapped all that within Samburu County. We have also a number of dry season grazing areas that Samburu people utilize when resources or pasture remain restrictive, particularly during dry season. Yeah, so for minerals, we also have that in Samburu, and we have seen coltan, for example, in Nachola, but there's a salt lake in Lolmolok in Samburu, and so we also mapped that. Natural salt lakes, this is the spatial area or coverage for the natural salt lakes in Samburu. So finally, what are the key emerging issues, conclusion and recommendations? We had a lot of discussions with the culture custodians who are the land owners, and you can see we had a lot of dialogue to look at these issues and properly inventorize them. One of the key issues that is coming out is that the water resources, for example, in all these areas are seasonal. So we see some parts of the year around January, February, very dry, but as we move towards March, towards June, we see a lot of water resources. So seasonality is a major issue here, and we have taken care of that. And so you'll see that is helping us in terms of conflict and dispute resolution from land-based resources. So you are able to plan and even mitigate potential conflicts as a result of drought in that regard, or water access. One of the things that is also coming out is that each county presents a unique and distinct opportunity, but they are complementary natural asset profile. Like Kipia, Isiolo, and Samburu, we have noticed that they are distinct but quite complementary in nature when we talk about these particular resources. For cross-cutting findings, we talk about water, mobility, wildlife connectivity, and community stewardship are non-negotiable. In these particular landscapes, we must center communities and their stewardship in these particular vital assets, and we have established that. Emerging threats are quite a number. One of them is the climate change environmental stress. We are also noticing a lot of land use changes and fragmentation, but they are equally important land governance and tenure security issues in these areas alongside conflicts. I recall when we left Samburu, it didn't take us more than 1 hour. There was a conflict that erupted just immediately we exited. So we need to take care of that, particularly from land-based resources. Finally, in terms of strategic recommendations, yes, we must integrate our assets into spatial planning. So spatial planning processes that are ongoing. My colleagues are here from the land use planning, together with the county governments, CCs in charge of lands, our county spatial plans must secure these particular assets in the county spatial plans as a first layer protection measure before we even gazette them. But it is also important that the ongoing community land registration also secures them in the community land cadasters. And of course, at the higher level, we want chairman, together with the other agencies with mandate to protect them through legal notices. Reservation for us in the commission, KWS is here, under section 74 of the Wildlife Act provides that every Kenyan landowner must provide free passage for wildlife movement. We must also take care of cadastral surveys. We want to survey these particular resources to cadastral standard so that we establish the boundaries for gazettement. And then we also talk about cross-county coordination, because most of them actually traverse more than one county. Our key messages are very clear that these particular areas, the dryland areas, have substantial natural capital. They are interconnected systems. We also have transboundary assets, and there's urgency for the protection. And so these are our reports that we are almost launching, provide that much needed evidence to steer better leadership and governance of these particular resources for posterity. Allow me then to conclude with the guidelines on the methodology that we are also launching. These guidelines has ensued, or is a culmination of the fact that we have done a unique thing that has not been done in Kenya, leave alone even Africa, and therefore we wanted to establish a proper methodology that can be followed when somebody wants to move. For example, for us, we want to move to the other counties, then we'll be using that methodological approach to map. We have also shared in this particular methodology some of our experiences, some lessons and challenges, and how to mitigate against potential risks when you are undertaking natural asset mapping in the drylands. So this particular methodology was developed again consultatively with communities, practitioners, decision makers, and it draws from practical experiences from us who have worked in northern part of Kenya using these particular 3 counties, and it provides a step-by-step approach on what to do and what not to do while conducting an inclusive, participatory and community-centered natural asset mapping. It aims at promoting informed planning, equitable resource governance, and sustainable land management. But it is a living document that we must adapt to a local context. If I was to map Kajiado County Commissioner, then I would adapt to the people of Kajiado and the landscape within that particular area, including cultural context. Its purpose is to equip national and local governments and stakeholders with a step-by-step methodology, but it is also serving as a capacity building tool. Of course, it promotes inclusion and good governance in natural asset mapping. Yeah, so this was part of the workshop that we did, consultations. I see my colleague Gilo from Isiolo. This was Isiolo validation process, and we were able to work on this. So the guidelines has a phased methodology. We have phase 1, where we have the preliminary consultations, asset identification, recruitment and training of clerks. Phase 2 is the actual data collection. Phase 3 is the data management. Phase 4 is the validation. And of course, it includes very, very important tools for us in the Commission as the leader in land governance. The free, prior and informed consent form. How do you get consent from local communities as you undertake this process? Where is the form? Which is also providing us with an opportunity to capture oral histories from the local communities, and we provided a form for that. But of course, we also stated clearly what you need when you want to undertake mapping in terms of the tools and equipment that are required, alongside any risks, potential risks, as you want to undertake that particular process. What are the risks and the mitigations on how to navigate any potential risk working in these particular areas, alongside a data sharing agreement. Allow me, Madam CEO, to stop there and thank everyone. Thank you. Back to you.
A round of applause for OPA. KFS, KWS, NEMA, we have internal consultant. You better talk to us. Thank you, OPA. I know we shine because they are chairman, commissioners. We have a very good technical team. They will not ever let you down whenever you give them assignments. Thank you very much. We have Vice President, Deputy President, it's no longer Vice President, Deputy President of ISK. We have technical team composition of the Commission secretariats, as I've earlier mentioned, the valuers, the surveyors, the planners, and the land administrators. They are regulated in terms of professional conducts and their professional well-being by the Institute of Survey of Kenya. Allow me to welcome the Deputy President to speak to us.
Good morning. Our chief guest in absentia, very well represented by the Secretary, all protocols observed, and especially recognizing the Commission, recognizing the CEO. My name is Nelly Bogwa, Deputy President, Institution of Surveyors of Kenya. I'm a value by profession. I also NEMA certified environmental as auditor. But this morning I come to you to represent the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya, and on behalf of our president, who sent his remarks because he's out of the country, I am very delighted to be part of this wonderful occasion. I would wish to recognize the input that has been, when I've listened to Ben speak about with a lot of passion, the effort that has been put in making sure that we have a natural assets inventory and mapping. The Institution of Surveyors of Kenya is home to the geospatial or GIS specialists. It is home to valuers. It is also home to property managers, estate agents. We're about a body of close to 8,000 members. And land and built environment is our baby, it is our thought. Every day, we wake up thinking about how to survey, how to make a difference in our country. So this, for me, is very close to my heart. Anything that touches on environment is very close to my heart. And I'm very, very humbled and very delighted and moved to see that we have gone, NLC with great partners has gone out of its way, you've gone out of your way to document, to map, to secure our heritage. And so this morning, I am very, very passionate and feeling very touched to see this happening, because I feel, ladies and gentlemen, that when we have the documents that helps us protect our environment, we stop speaking from vulnerability. We now start working from information to support us to move forward in protecting our environment. I am very delighted that to the counties, Isiolo, Laikipia, Samburu, for allowing this exercise to take place in your counties. History has been created, and so we will not just be surviving, we will be coexisting because we have the information. I am looking at the valuers and I'm, excuse me, I'm recognizing that now we will have information to help us value with understanding that the site, the water pan in Samburu is not just a water pan, it has historical value, it has societal value, it has impact, it is our heritage. And so the valuation will be done with information, the acquisition will be done with information, and therefore we're going to have strategic management of our resources. I am very happy then that we're going to be able to protect our forest. We're going to make decisions that protect those very risks, the sand that we think isn't, other than just used for construction, it has a role in our ecosystem. So for us, as Institution of Surveyors of Kenya, would like to congratulate you and commit to partnering. We are great stakeholders of NLC. And so we commit to utilizing this document to make the life of Kenyans better, to ensure that as we do our survey, as our members step out to go and do the survey, they have wonderful information for themselves. They will know how to navigate those sites in a better way. And in so doing, then we can focus, we can look at the next several years, plan better in terms of surveying, plan better in terms of sales. How do we, if you're selling a site that is special site, what do you need to do? Do you need to inform the person buying about the details of that land so that they can also protect it? I'm so impressed by the fact that you are so inclusive. This project is community owned. So the information that is so dear to our people is also being incorporated in a national document. So I would like to say, Madam CEO, you've done a wonderful job through your team, and we are so proud of you. We are very, very grateful. Yes, we do need to clap for this, because this then is going to to support each one of us as we make our decision, and as a country, as we progress. And my hope and call to action is that we can have all the counties making sure that they have put together their assets, natural assets, a register that we can all utilize. Even as you plan, as you put a road, you will be, instead of coming to change when you have already designed, already implemented, we will have protected it and saved a lot of resources. So from Institution of Surveyors of Kenya, please accept our congratulations, and we wish you well as you implement this project, and we look forward to partnering even as you do the rest of the other counties. I would like to appreciate our members who I believe were making great contributions. We have many in NLC, but particularly Dr. Dhuni, who is a great GIS specialist and one of our wonderful members. We appreciate what he does in the commission and in the National Land Commission. Also, we have the Director Evaluation, Mr. Umbati, among others that daily make this country great because of the work that you do within the National Land Commission. So I do wish the Commission very well. I do wish the National Land Commission extremely well as you focus in ensuring that our land management, our security of our land is enhanced by what you do on a daily basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, the Deputy President. We appreciate your collaborations and partnership in improving land governance. We have Azalia presented by the OPA. We have representation from 3 counties, Laikipia, Isiolo, and Samburu. We may not call all of you to speak, but I would like to pick on the CEC for lands for Isiolo to just say a word or two on behalf of the other 3 counties. Hussein, Jirma, is he around? Jirma is not there. Lalampa, how are you? Dr. Lalampa, from NRT, we recognize you. I saw you earlier. Sorry, I did not mention your name. I know NRT is familiar with northern Kenya. I don't see Hussein here. Where is Abdinur, the chair of the Major Retired Abdinur from Isiolo also? I saw him earlier here. He's not here also. Laikipia, CC for Laikipia. Yes, I am actually looking for the CEC. Laikipia, please come. Ladies are very confident. Men, where are men? You are running away from the media. Let's clap for her, she comes.
Thank you very much, our chief guest, and allow me to write on all the protocols that have been established. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Leah Njeri, and I come from the county government of Laikipia. I am the CCM in charge of water, environment, natural resources, wildlife, and climate change. I take this opportunity to represent the 3 pilot counties that this data was collected from, and really appreciate on behalf of Isiolo, Samburu, and my county, and be very grateful that we have been given a tool that we are going to use to plan. As you have all seen, that this is a very important tool, but there are also challenges that have been enumerated, and that have that makes it therefore imperative for all of us to address the challenges that have been enumerated. One of them, for instance, being that over time our corridors have been threatened, wildlife corridors have been threatened by encroachment, and therefore I am very envious that the county government of Isiolo has gone ahead to secure theirs, and from this podium I can commit that we are also going to do the same to ensure that our wildlife can coexist with us peacefully by ensuring that their movement, their corridors are open and that they are active. At the same time, I know that in the counties have wildlife policies, and my county, like Laikipia, we are developing the wildlife policies, and therefore this data becomes very useful. This morning we had a small chat with this academy, and we were talking about the upcoming El Nino. And we see that there are opportunities from this report. I see there are opportunities that we can tap. And as we plan together and ensure that we take advantage of the opportunity the El Nino will bring, besides being responsive, making sure that we are prepared to address the challenges that would come with El Nino, we are going to use this report, and it becomes a critical factor. So I am very grateful, and on behalf of the county governments that this study focused in, I take this opportunity to really congratulate the Commission for making this bold step and giving us a tool that we can be accountable for in the time to come. I wish that maybe biannually we can actually be looking at the progress that has been made in using this data. As Dr. Kiteme said, that when you have data and you do not use it and store, then it is not information and it doesn't help us. And our commitment is to ensure that we use this data. So with those few remarks, I am grateful on behalf of the counties, and really congratulate NLC and the counties that this work has been done, that we have come this far. Thank you very much, and thank you, and we hope to see you on the ground as we are implementing the data.
she deserves a better club. You know, I ambushed her. She was not prepared, I ambushed her. You did very well. Thank you very much. Women always step in. Thank you very much. We have in the Commission for Good Governance, we are structured in a way that we have committees. So we dispense our agenda, Deputy President, through committees. So in this one is anchored on the Land Administration and Management, Environment and Natural Resource Survey Committee, chaired by Commissioner Vincent, CHRP, Vincent Kigen. Allow me to welcome him to give his remarks, and thereafter to invite the chairman, and the chairman will invite the chief guest, and I think we're almost coming to the end of this being a breakfast meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CEO. Dr. Sally Kimosop, the Environment Secretary, our chairperson of the National Land Commission, the commissioners present here from Nairobi Rivers, and the commissioners also from our commissioners from NLC, ISK Vice President, our CEO, representatives of the county governments, and all guests who are present here today. Good morning. And before I make a few remarks, I would like to recognize the members of the Land Administration and Management Committee who are here. Commissioner Daniel Muriungi is here, and Commissioner Susan Oyatsi is here also. So today marks an important milestone, not only for the National Land Commission, but also for the future of land administration and natural resource governance in Kenya. And as a chairperson of the Commission's Land Administration and Management Committee, I am honored to speak about why these reports matter, why this work became necessary, and why it deserves the support of every institution represented here today. For decades, Kenya has made significant progress in documenting land ownership through surveys, adjudication, title registration, and spatial planning. However, we've not given the same attention to documenting the natural assets that sustain our landscapes and communities, particularly in the arid and semi-arid lands. This gap has exposed critical resources to degradation and competing land uses. One of the, if you overfly these drylands, like we do, those who fly with choppers especially, when you overfly a dry land, you may not see any value, but you will appreciate when it is decoded in this way, then you will appreciate its role in sustaining livelihoods. Like a seasonal wetland, it may seem insignificant until it becomes the only source of water during drought. Springs, salt licks, rock catchments, and highlands of dense vegetation perform vital ecological, economic, and cultural functions that cannot easily be replaced once lost. So the question is simple: how do we protect what we have never documented? And the answer also is very straightforward, that we cannot. And therefore, these reports provide that documentation that is needed, and they establish an authoritative inventory of the natural assets that support livelihoods, biodiversity, climate resilience, and sustainable development in Isiolo, Samburu, and Laikipia counties. More importantly, they ensure these assets are recognized within our land administration systems and safeguarded during planning, registration, and development. Ladies and gentlemen, this work is timely. Community land registration is advancing, county spatial plans are taking shape, infrastructure development is expanding, and investment in northern Kenya is increasing. These are welcome developments. However, unless critical natural assets are identified and secured, we risk fragmenting or losing resources that communities have depended on for generations. These reports, therefore, are not merely environmental publications. They are land governance tools. They provide evidence that supports informed planning, protects public interest, reduces resource-based conflicts, and promotes sustainable land use. The National Land Commission has a constitutional responsibility to ensure that land is administered equitably, sustainably, and for the benefit of all Kenyans. Natural assets are public assets. Their protection is not optional. It is central to our constitutional mandate and to the country's sustainable development agenda. One of the greatest strengths of these reports is the methodology used to produce them. Together with our partners, the WIS Academy, Dr. Okita, and CETRAD, also represented, Laikipia Conservancies Association, the county governments who are also represented here, we adopted a participatory approach that combined modern geospatial technologies with indigenous knowledge. Community elders, women, youth conservancies, and technical experts, they work together to identify, validate, and map these resources. The result is a credible body of evidence that demonstrates an important truth. Communities are not merely beneficiaries of conservation. They are its foremost custodians. And I urge the county governments to integrate these findings into their county spatial plans and development programs. I also call upon institutions responsible for land registration and education to ensure these mapped natural assets are protected throughout registration processes. And finally, I commend the Commission's technical team and our partners for their dedication in delivering these landmark reports. Their work has shown what can be achieved through collaboration, innovation, and shared purpose. And therefore, as we launch these reports today, let us remember that documenting our natural assets is not the destination. It is the foundation for securing them for future generation. And I want to thank this team, particularly our chief guest and chair, for decoding the aspect of natural resource in the definition of land in Article 260 of our Constitution. You know, most of us in Nairobi and here in this room, when we hear land, we know it is about regularization, allotment, renewal of leases, compensation, and most of the things around that. But this team has brought into forefront the natural resource aspect of the definition of land. And with that, I want to thank you. May God bless you. And therefore, I welcome the chair of the National Land Commission to give his remarks and also recognize the commissioners who are present today. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Commissioner Keegan, for putting together this meeting and all the hard work. Of course, you are overshadowed by Mr. Opar. I've never seen that patient, but all is good, and I'm very happy to be here. I want to recognize the following. It's a long list, but I hope it's representative. because I invited some of the people who are here personally, and if I'm lucky, I'll be able to see your organization or what you are representing today. First, I recognize all the government agencies that are here and represented, county government representatives, associations related to natural resources, county assemblies, training institutes or universities, if any. Essentially, I recognize all the guests and our partners, WIS Academy and Daktari Giteme, commissioners and all the guests who are here. Also recognizing NLC commissioners who will kindly ask to come up here so you are seen and recognized. Remember, we are only 3 months old, so people hardly know us. Could we all come? Commissioner Tia, please. Susan, Commissioner Mary, Keegan again. I would like for you to introduce yourself and say something, kidogo, contribution to what we are discussing today. That will be a minute each. Thank you. Ladies first.
All invited guests, all protocols observed. Good morning. My name is Honorable Tia Delgado. I'm a Commissioner in National Land Commission. I'm more than excited to receive this report. Isiolo is included, and I can see people from Isiolo and many partners who've been part of this process. This is a critical document that will be able to support county government and more so the National Land Commission. We are happy to be part of this. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Mary, Senator, Commissioner, I'm very happy to be with you this morning. Very happy of the team. Congratulations to the CEO and the team. And thank you for the support, our partners, our government institutions that are here, county governments, representatives who are the recipients of this report. Thank you for being with us here. I am only encouraging each one of us to look for a better way of implementing the findings that will have helped us, and also looking at supporting the Commission to also do the same in all other counties. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. The chief guest and all protocols observed. My name is RFCPS Susan Oyatsi. I'm very, very impressed. I'm looking forward to CEOs making me see that rock that Opa showed us. Did he say the water comes from there? Those are miracles, and that should be a tourist attraction. And I'm just humbled, I'm learning a lot. And Opa, this was on the drylands. I hope one day you'll reach the wetlands. Thank you.
CHRP Keegan Vincent, Commission.
Good morning, everyone. All protocols observed. My name is Daniel Moriongi, and since I will come to speak later on the closing remarks, I will leave it here and then I will talk later. Thank you.
Thank you. Greetings again. Assalamu alaikum. I want to speak louder than my voice can do because of the greatness of this work. Thank you again, Deputy Director, Mr. Ben Opar. You are shining today. Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this important occasion as we launch the Dryland Natural Assets Inventory and Participatory Mapping Report, as well as the guidelines for participatory natural assets mapping in drylands for Isiolo, Samburu, and Laikipia. Today marks more than unveiling of 3 reports. It marks another milestone in Kenya where the journey towards safeguarding our natural heritage through informed land governance, evidence-based planning, and responsible stewardship of our shared resources. The NLC maintains that sustainable development begins with knowing what we have. It also goes from what we have to understanding where it is. Where is it located? Appreciate the value, and it also putting in place a necessary framework or measures to protect it for the present and future generation. And this report does precisely that. They identify the reports, basically the 3 reports that will be launched today. They identify, document, and spatially map the natural assets that sustain livelihoods across Kenya arid and semi-arid lands, from rivers, wetlands, springs, and rocks catchment to salt, wildlife corridors, grazing reserves, islands of dense vegetation, and other ecological significant landscape. So now we have that. What I am feeling is we are actually at the beginning of the work. Remember, we are doing this for ourselves, but the benefits we'll be able to enjoy for the remaining years of our life. But our Gen Zs, our kids, our small children, this is their inheritance. Essentially, what I'm saying is the work has just begun. We need to protect the landscapes that we have identified, at least for the 3 counties that were involved this time, but we have the rest of Kenya to do. So take 47 minus 3, and that's why I'm saying the work has begun. Beginning also means we have to prepare the communities that are the owners of those resources, whether they're in a small village or in a city. Yes, we do have these natural resources within the cities, especially if you're coming from Mombasa, where the beach, I'm talking about the beach management units, they have been really prepared and mandated to do that kind of protection. But there's also a role NLC can play, and the rest of us. Each one, if Mr. Opar, with the big presentation, had listed the roles that are needed to protect these resources, it would have been really, really big list, and all of us will be included there, including the regular citizen. This morning, when I was in the holding room, it's a very interesting room where you are kept waiting while the meeting is being prepared. And you get to meet these very bright people who give you information from all over Kenya. And that information today, for me, not a new thing, but it was sort of emphasized that some people, the community, the villagers, people very low resources, actually sacrifice their mbuzi, ng'ombe, to get cash in order to go and do the work that is needed on that river, whether it's to clean the river or that water pond, that beach which is trashed with all this whatever. So there's a role for all of us to move further than where maybe you are comfortable with. The work has begun. Ladies and gentlemen, The Constitution entrusted the National Land Commission with the responsibility of managing public land on behalf of the national and county governments and advising on a comprehensive program for the registration of title in land. Embedded within that mandate is an equally important responsibility to ensure that land and the natural asset supports are managed sustainably and in the public interest. That's what just I have summarized. It is a role for all of us. As Kenya continues to register community land, implement county spatial plans, expand infrastructure, and pursue economic transformation, we must ensure that development does not come at the expense of the very ecosystems that sustain our people. Again, it was mentioned by more than one speaker, planning without reliable data inevitably leads to conflict, environment degradation, and irreversible loss of public resources. And I'm also a believer of data. And when we are maybe working with our communities in conservation in general, but data collection should be one of them. They see the temperatures, or they feel the temperatures, they see the color of the water, the smell of the water, and that will be some of the data that once we identify who is a specialist in treating that and changing that, we will be doing it scientifically and with the evidence that this work is actually required as opposed to just playing games. That is why these reports today are so significant. They provide evidence needed to secure critical natural resources within land administration system, county spatial plans, community land registers, and development planning framework before competing land uses permanently compromise them. I also see in the strategies by NLC and other agencies that the community is not only protecting and keeping data, but they are also involved in the intricate work of actually identifying these natural resources, and they are utilizing their indigenous knowledge and information to make the scientific work that we do combine with what is natural and what they know. That is actually a concoction of something very powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, it is very important to note that the publication of these reports build upon the foundation laid by the Kenya Natural Resource Atlas, which established a national baseline for the country's strategic natural resources. These county reports take work at a significant step further, and by moving from broad national inventory to detailed community-driven documentation of natural assets at the local level. So this reports that we have heard and we have used the Atlas, which is a countrywide, and that is a precursor of what we are seeing today. And the work still has begun for us. We can publish all these books, beautiful atlases, excellent reports, and perfect guidelines, but if they are laid in somewhere in your office, not opened for ages, the only time it's opened or touched is when people are dusting it to remove the dust, I think we'll be shooting ourselves in the foot. So whatever we are publishing, NLC particularly, the next step will be to emphasize the use of those excellent products that you have worked hard, you have sweated to produce. And that use could be in so many directions, including publication, not that those are thick, but county specific. You could also look at the local languages that are accessible to the communities, that if at all that guide goes all the way to the community, sometimes it only stops at the county offices, but languages, maybe going through that, some parts of that is help from monitoring and evaluation, which will lead you to actually recognize and appreciate the value in the guidelines, doing things in the right way. As a commission, we reaffirm our commitment to working with all stakeholders to ensure that these reports do not remain, they don't remain dormant. They need to become our tools of decision making, and in case of you get stuck with how to use it, your office should be able to access NLC or other sources, but we have to use these tools. They're coming from a lot of sweat, a lot of resources. And when I say resources, I'm thanking our two partners who are here, and they've already come here. You know them. And what they have provided is not going to be pesa kila siku. They have provided the seed, for us to take up that challenge of conserving our natural resources. I am confident that the methodology developed through the initiative provides a scalable national model that can be replicated across Kenya, Kenya's remaining arid and semi-arid counties, and eventually throughout the country. With these remarks, finally, I call upon the institution presented here today to embrace the recommendations contained in these reports and work together in securing Kenya natural assets as an integral component of our national heritage and green development agenda. The choices we make today will determine future generations inherit that continued and continue to sustain life, or only stories of what once existed. It is now my singular honor and privilege to invite the chief guest of the day, Dr. Sally Kimosop, Secretary for the State Department for Environment and Climate Change. Welcome, Madam.
Thank you so much, Chair, for that. The chairperson of the NLC, Dr. Abdullahi Sagat, commissioners present from the National Land Commission, together with the Nairobi Rivers Commission and other commissioners present, CEOs present here today, led by our CEO from the NLC, Madam Kabale, representatives from national and county governments who are here today with us, led by, we have the honorable members of county assemblies who are here today, CECM from the various counties, development partners led by WIS Academy, and CITRAD, who are here with us today. We also have community members who are represented here from the various communities, the three counties of Isiolo, Samburu, and Laikipia. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Yeah, my name is Dr. Sally Kimosop, Environment Secretary in the State Department for Environment and Climate Change within the ministry. I am here representing PS State Department for Environment and Climate Change, Dr. Engineer Festus Ngeno, who could not join us because he got an emergency just this morning, and therefore we are here to represent him. Madam CEO said that they invited the chief guest because he is like part of this team. He's a GIS expert. I also want to say I am a spouse to one of the GIS experts. So yeah, I am, by extension, I am also a GIS expert. Yeah, my spouse works in the Ministry of Lands, so you can be able to see that. So colleagues here today, I really want to appreciate the National Land Commission and the teams that worked on this document. It is timely. And Chair, based on the accolades he made to one of my friends, Ben Opa, we met with Ben in 2018 when I was in a task force in the Ministry of Environment, and I actually know his expertise, and I'm sure the team from NLC, the entire team, you pass knowledge from one person to another. So based on that, I have seen the expertise that you have here. Now allow me to read PS's remarks. PS says is sincerely grateful to the NLC for inviting him to this important occasion as the chief guest to preside over this event. I also commend the Commission for its leadership together with the WIS Academy for Nature, CITRAD, county governments, local communities, researchers, and all partners who have contributed to this remarkable undertaking. Your work demonstrates that when institutions collaborate and when communities become partners rather than spectators, we produce outcomes that serve both present and future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya's drylands occupy nearly 90% of our land area. And actually I come from the drylands. I usually call myself a pastoral girl who can milk a running cow. That one, we will talk with Madam CEO whether she can milk a running cow herself. Yet these landscapes are often misunderstood. Some see empty spaces. We see opportunity. Some see harsh environments. We see ecosystems that sustain millions of livelihoods, support biodiversity, store carbon, regulate water systems. We just saw the kind of rock that we can be able to use to harvest water, and provide the foundation for pastoral economies that thrive for generations. The landscapes of Samburu, Isiolo, and Laikipia are among our nation's greatest environmental treasures. And we've been told Isiolo should be, the Kenyan city. And I was there during the World Environment Day last year, and I am sure I concur with what you are saying. They are home to global significant wildlife. They support livestock production, sustain tourism, preserve unique cultures and indigenous knowledge, and increasingly they are becoming central to Kenya's climate resilience. Yet these same landscapes face growing pressure from population growth, competing land uses, infrastructure expansion, land degradation, climate change, and increasing demand for natural resources. Managing these competing interests without accurate information is like trying to navigate unfamiliar terrain without a map. And our brother from CITRAD has just told us that. And I like the motivation. I will tell you one of my motivation that made me to do my master's and PhD in a certain area of chemistry. So eventually we lose our way. Today, today's reports that we are going to launch here provide the roadmap, and they tell us where our natural assets are located, help us understand their condition, enable us to identify risks before they become crisis, and provide government, investors, communities, and conservation partners with a common evidence base for better decision making. Ladies and gentlemen, the government of Kenya has made environmental sustainability one of its national priorities as anchored in our Constitution, Article 42. Under the leadership of His Excellency the President, we have committed ourselves to restoring degraded landscapes, enhancing climate resilience, and ensuring the sustainable management of our natural resources. Our ambition is clear: to grow our economy while protecting the natural capital upon which that economy depends. We cannot achieve sustainable development if we continue to consume nature faster than we restore it. We cannot build climate resilience if we fail to understand the ecosystem shocks. And exist, where they are and how they are changing over time. Therefore, evidence-based planning is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. These reports we are launching today represent exactly that. Tools for decision makers. They support county spatial planning, strengthen environmental governance, guide sustainable investments, improve land use planning, help reduce conflict over natural resources by providing shared information that all stakeholders can rely upon. Ladies and gentlemen, one aspect of this initiative deserves special recognition. The mapping process was participatory, and we have the communities here with us during the launch, which is communities were not treated merely knowledge. These matters custodians of our natural resources. I remember when we were young, we were knew that those were water catchment areas and needed to be protected. They understand seasonal changes, and indigenous wisdom work together. Our decision as we implement climate adaptation and ecosystem restoration is no longer a future threat, it is our present reality. Across our drylands, we are witnessing prolonged droughts, changing patterns, biodiversity loss, and increasing pressure on our water resources. These challenges demand better and that we work together. And the inventory reports being launched today provide an important foundation for climate adaptation. They help identify vulnerable ecosystems, reveal restoration opportunities, support landscape management, and strengthen our ability to mobilize climate finance by demonstrating where investments can deliver the greatest environmental and social returns. As a country, we have committed ourselves to restoring millions of acres of degraded landscapes. Achieving that goal requires accurate data. It requires partnership, which we have seen here in this room, and it requires institutions willing to work together. Today's event demonstrates that collaboration is not only possible, but essential for all of us to move forward together. Natural assets are not simply environmental resources. They are economic assets. Healthy ecosystems support agriculture, sustain tourism, provide clean water, reduce disaster risks, improve public health, and create employment opportunities that our brother talked about this morning. Protecting nature, therefore, is not an obstacle to development. It is the foundation of sustainable development. Every shilling invested in ecosystem restoration is an investment in economic resilience. Every forest restored strengthens water security. Every rangeland managed sustainably supports livelihood. Every wetland protected strengthens our resilience against climate extremes. Nature is one of Kenya's greatest forms of national wealth, and we must manage it as carefully as we manage our financial resources. The success of this initiative should not mark the end of our journey. We have just started. It should mark the beginning. The reports before us should not remain on shelves. They should inform county plans, guide investment decisions, strengthen environmental impact assessments, support academic research, empower communities, and become living tools that continue to evolve as information becomes available. Knowledge only creates value when it is used, and that has been emphasized by earlier speakers. As government, we reaffirm our commitment to supporting evidence-based environmental management. We will continue strengthening partnerships with county government, research institutions, development partners, and local communities. Together we can build landscapes that are productive, resilient, and sustainable. Together we can leave future generations a healthy environment than the one that we have inherited. And I am also happy that the region that we are talking about is being opened up, and I am sure that when we talk about the great northern Kenya corridor, especially the roads along Isiolo Mandera, from Isiolo, Kulamawe, Modakashe, Wajia, Elwak, without competing one of the speakers that talked about that. I am sure we can also have a wildlife corridor, with such kind of plan. I think now that we have the documents here, we can be able to talk about a wildlife corridor with from one town to another, all the way to the downstream area. As I conclude, I would urge all of us to let these reports become more than documents. Let them become guides for wiser decisions, catalysts for stronger partnership, and the foundation upon which we build a greener, more resilient, and prosperous Kenya. I therefore call upon all stakeholders here in the room, the national government, the county governments, development partners, researchers, the private sector, civil society who are here with us, and our communities to embrace these findings, use this knowledge, and work together in safeguarding our natural heritage. The choices we make today will determine the landscapes our children inherit tomorrow. Let us choose wisely, let us choose sustainably, let us choose partnership, and let us choose action. Let us protect our environment for the present and future generations. Thank you so much. God bless you, and God bless Kenya.
Thank you so much, Mom. Kindly remain where you are. Once again, another hearty round of applause for our mom, for her words of wisdom and encouragement. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the elephant in the room, the climax of today's ceremony, which is the launch of natural assets investment, inventory, and mapping reports for Samburu, Isiolo, and Laikipia counties, and the guidelines for dryland natural assets mapping. I may now kindly call upon our chief guest, who is already here with us, together with the chairman, National Land Commission, the commissioners, the CEO, the directors from WIS Academy and CITRAD, representatives, and as a matter of fact, let me just say this table and this table kindly. Launch ceremony. Thank you so much. NRT, please kindly also step forward. Mr. Samuel Ngoni, please. And our chief guest will have a round of applause from, we'll have a countdown from 5 to 1. At the mention of 1, please come and help us. Chairman, please. Thank you so much. So, ma'am, at countdown, let's go. 5. Please, ma'am, step forward. Yes, yes, please. So, at the mention of 1, we'll just press the button. Thank you. At a countdown of 5, together all of us, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Wapi makofi tafadhali? Wapi makofi mazuri? You can turn around, please. Thank you so much. And mapping report for Samburu, Isiolo, counties, and the guidelines for drylands national assets. Mapping located in Kenya are arid lands. Ongeze makofi jamani. Are we not happy? Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. We may now kindly now our next session will be a brief exposure at the platform. We'll have which will include our chief guest, the chairman, NLC, commissioners, CEO, yes, for an exposure, please, just after the distribution of the copies, we have an exposure. Kindly naomba tupande kwenye jukwaa so that we can get a clear shot. Thank you so much. Asante sana. Thank you so much. We'll have an exposure there. Thank you so much. Is there anyone who is not in the photo and is supposed to be there? Our presenters, Mr. Opa, where are you? I thought as much. Thank you so much. Once we are done, we may kindly take our seats for the final remarks. And now to give the closing remarks, I now invite Commissioner Daniel Muriungi to give us his closing remarks. Thank you so much.
The chief guest, Secretary Environment, Dr. Kimosop, representing Dr. Engineer Festus Ngeno, Principal Secretary, State Department for Environment and Climate Change, our partners, the commissioners, chairman, the commissioner for Nairobi Rivers Commission, the highest Deputy President, Nelly, Boniface Kitema, Setrant, Dr. Benson Okita, WIS Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. As we come to close of this important occasion, it is my singular honor to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of NLC. Allow me first to express our deepest gratitude to our chief guest, Dr. Engineer Festus K. Ngeno, Principal Secretary, State Department for Environment and Climate Change, represented by the Secretary Environment, Dr. Kimosop, for honoring our invitation and officially launching these landmark reports. Your presence and insightful remarks reaffirm the NLC's support in the wider government commitment to sustainable land governance, environment conservation, and climate resilience. I sincerely thank the chairperson NLC, my fellow commissioners, our CEO, and all the distinguished guests for their inspiring messages and unwavering commitment to protecting Kenya's natural heritage. Thank you for honoring our invitation. Our heartfelt appreciation also goes to our valued partners, particularly WIS Academy for Nature and Center for Training and Integrated Research, CETRANT, for the financial and technical support. We also thank county governments of Isiolo, Samburu, Laikipia, alongside county commissioners in those counties whose collaboration and immense support in the successful delivery of this initiative. We equally acknowledge and appreciate the national government agencies, conservancies, landowners, research institutions, development partners, and community representatives for working. Ben Opa well articulated the issue that is at hand. He quoted the jurisdiction, he quoted the law, and he made sure that we are well grounded in terms of why we are here. And he said if we are not following the law, then we are funked as official, or he said we have no use to be here. Thank you so much for making sure that we are operating within the law. The team from the Land and Mean Committee, thank you for your dedication, professionalism, and countless hours of field work. Stakeholder engagement, mapping, and data validation have culminated in the successful production of these reports. Your efforts have created an enduring resource for this nation. To our invited guests, members of the media, and all participants, thank you for your presence and continued support. Your engagement demonstrates our shared commitment to safeguarding Kenya's natural assets for the benefit of the present and the future generations. As we live here today, let us remember that the launch of these reports is not the end of the journey, but the beginning of the renewed collaboration. Let us work together to ensure that the knowledge generated informs policy, planning, and action, so that our natural resources continue to sustain livelihoods, strengthen climate resilience, and support sustainable development. Once again, thank you for honoring our invitation with your presence. May God bless you, and may God bless the Republic of Kenya. And I think I'll take also the opportunity to teach you the environmental friendly Environmental and Natural Friendly Resources Club. And it goes like this: 5 times, 4, 3, 2, 1. So at the count of 1, we start. 1, 1. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mirongi. Madam CEO, please.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's the benefit of attending workshops. Thank you very much. Now we are coming to the end of this breakfast launch of the meeting for the launch. We have, in African, we need to appreciate our chief guest. Chairman, kindly come up to the podium together with the chief guest. The gift for the chief guest.
Tuwape makofi mazuri. Thank you so much for accepting our token of appreciation. A photo? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Chairman, our co-host and partners,